Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with Virginia NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws and the Executive Director of your favorite chapter, Virginia NORML. It's Friday, January 13th, 2023, and that means it's time for us to talk all things cannabis in the Commonwealth. Friends, the Virginia General Assembly is in session. Session began on Wednesday, and we had cannabis bills that were heard today. We are going to do a rundown of those. Hey, drop a note to us in the comments now so we can see wherever you're watching from. Hey, Fred, happy Friday the 13th to you too. Despite it being Friday the 13th, I think it's been an A-OK day for us. Really the first day that we had any movement on cannabis legislation in the General Assembly. Hey, Dwayne, happy Friday to you as well. Hey, friends, next Friday, I hope we have a few minutes to do a quick show for you, but we will be at the Virginia Cannabis Conference next week at 4 p.m. Pre-registration will open, so you'll be able to come in and pick up your badge early at the hotel, get ready for Saturday morning or for the welcome reception Friday night. If you haven't registered yet, go ahead and, don't leave us just yet, but head to virginiacannabisconference.com and register for next weekend's conference. It's got an amazing lineup of speakers. We're so excited to see everyone there. And of course, we have a new edition this year, the inaugural event for the Commonwealth Green Gala. That's Saturday evening fundraiser for Virginia NORML, and we will be giving out our 2023 awards, recognizing the work of some really incredible activists and public leaders in the over the past year. So you don't want to miss that, really. John, you're welcome. I'm glad you liked my hair today. Thanks, friend. Hey, Dwayne, thanks for asking. No, that the medical bill from Delegate Helmer, HB 1862, has not yet been docketed. Not as of this morning when I went through all of the bills. Anyhow, thanks for asking. Hey, wherever you're watching, go ahead and take a second to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. All right, let's talk about this morning. I enjoyed getting up very, very early today so that I could be in the Senate Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services. Always a great time, chaired by the illustrious Senator Barbara Favola from Northern Virginia. There were 4 bills that were heard, most of them briefly, in the full committee this morning. We'll start with the chair's bill. This is Senate Bill 788 by Senator Favola. It's simply a bill it's very technical. It takes the medical cannabis code that's right now in 54.1 and moves it from the Drug Control Act, where Board of Pharmacy lives, over to the Cannabis Control Act, where the Cannabis Control Authority lives, because we intend to move medical from under Board of Pharmacy over to CCA, a regulator specific to cannabis, and the senator's bill was before the full committee this morning. It was referred unanimously to Finance. No, wait, that was the one that wasn't referred to Finance. I'm sorry, I did not mean to say it was referred unanimously, because I specifically recall this one, and this was an 11-1-1 vote. The committee largely voted 11 yeses. There was one abstention by Senator Hanger and one no by Senator DeStuff, which was kind of weird. Because Senator D stuff, he likes public safety. And the Cannabis Control Authority lives under public safety. Anyhow, doesn't matter. The bill's still referred to finance, and it'll be heard there and then before making its way to presumably the floor of the Senate. All right, next up, Senate Bill 1337. This is a bill that was introduced by Senator Donovan, longtime champion of the medical cannabis program here in Virginia. This bill was inadvertently assigned to rehab by the Senate clerk. It's a medical bill, so it belongs in Ed and Health, and the committee simply re-referred the bill to Ed and Health. This one did re-refer unanimously. All right, next up, leaving the weird one for last. It's not really weird. I'm just leaving the interesting one for last. Next up, Senator Ebbins' bill, SB 1133. This is his big old bill for adult use licensing and retail sales. This bill was initially referred to full rehab committee, and the committee referred the bill to the cannabis subcommittee of that committee. Cannabis is under rehab, and that subcommittee is chaired by Senator McPike. So that's the subcommittee that will really take a deep dive into Senator Ebbins' adult use retail bill. We'll let you know when that's docketed. All right, now, here's the fun part of this morning, because there's lots of fun to be had at 8 a.m. in the Capitol. Senate Bill 1233 by Senator Obenshain. We had to work with Senator Obenshain a lot in the early days of the medical cannabis program to get it. Back in the day, all of our medical bills used to go through the criminal law subcommittee of the Courts of Justice Committee, because crime. And Senator Obenshain sits on Judiciary and at that time, Crim Sub. So we've spent a lot of time together, especially in the early days. Senator Obenshain wrote a bill that, if it were adopted today, wouldn't really do much. But it is in preparation for adult use retail becoming legal at some point, and this is an advertising bill. And so it takes existing advertising restrictions for alcohol and drafts them for cannabis. Nothing special about it. Now, he was thoughtful in the drafting and took the time to specifically differentiate between marijuana and medical cannabis. And there are exemptions that while these restrictions for advertising for marijuana would not apply to the medical cannabis program because they have different advertising restrictions. So thought that was thoughtful. There's some room for improvement because we are working on the, as I mentioned before, the medical bill that Senator Donovan has, that's the operational improvements bill. That has some improvements to advertising. And we believe that patients deserve to know that medical cannabis dispensaries are open and that they can go and get certified and then shop there. And it's pretty difficult to disseminate this information right now, other than having a website. So we have some pretty basic improvements to advertising there. And we would not want Senator Obenshain's bill to conflict with the changes we're trying to get in the operations improvement bill. So he seemed amenable to those. Now, what he did after myself and a number of my colleagues who work in cannabis got up and spoke in favor of his bill, we all sat down and thought nothing of it. The vote happened. His bill reported unanimously. The senator beelined it back to the corner where we all were and proclaimed, after 19 years, finally, we're on the same page, and then high-fived me because he was talking about NORML. It was very loud and there was a lot of laughter. And then I took the opportunity to speak with the senator about how we appreciated his bill, but there could be some improvement. So it was very entertaining this morning in Senate Rehab. Hi, Ellie. Happy Friday to you. Dwayne, you'll have to tell me a little bit more about the Mechanicsville situation. Hey, Jennifer Douglas. About the drug testing of those in the industry. They've lost their mind. Yeah, Ronson, that's some stuff. All right, anyhow, this afternoon in the House, so we were in the Senate this morning, the afternoon, there were some hearings in the House. The House Courts of Justice Subcommittee 1 met, and there is a bill that is on our website, so you can take a look at it there. It's House Bill 1445, and Delegate Wyatt has this bill. We call it the odor bill, and it's a bill that has broader reach than odor of marijuana. But really, what the bill's intent is to roll back a number of recent improvements to traffic law. One of those being the most recent change that prohibits law enforcement for stopping, searching, or seizing a person, place, or thing based solely on the odor of marijuana. Now, Delegate Campbell has a bill that does not include odor. Good thinking there. And Delegate Wyatt's bill was incorporated into Delegate Campbell's bill by a voice vote. Apparently the House stream was not working during the vote, but I can see from the notes that is in fact what happened. So we will go ahead and note, once LIS is updated, we'll note that on our bill tracker page. Now, maybe you're concerned about these other attempted amendments to traffic law, or maybe you're like, why weren't you there yelling at them and shaking your fist? Or objecting profusely to this bill. Why? Because this bill is going down once it comes to the Senate. This bill's not going to pass the Senate, so there's really no need to burn political capital or waste people's time when it's just not going anywhere. So that's how that went. All right. Oh, Jennifer, you saw that. Good. All right. Hey, friends, let me know what other questions you have about cannabis bills moving through the 2023 Virginia General Assembly. And I'll tell you some things while I wait for your comments. All right. Now, we published an article at NORML this week. I'd go as far as to say we published a consumer safety alert. So there's a new study out that's raising concerns over the safety of inhaled THCO. THCO is a synthetic derivative. There are no human safety studies out there. And what this study is indicating is that when the THCO oil is heated in a vaporizer, that it produces ketene. And this is the same substance that was, responsible, part of the a contributing factor in lung injury during the Uvalde crisis that happened in 2019, 2020. So you all may remember that vitamin E oil acetate was being added to unregulated vape cartridges, not just cannabis, but tobacco, nicotine cartridges as well. So let's not think that this is simply the Uvalde crisis is limited to unregulated cannabis products. It also happens with nicotine products and cause significant lung injury and death. Now, this study is indicating that the same concerns exist for these unregulated THCO products. NORML has long advised that people not buy unregulated cannabis products, and that you shop at a dispensary that's regulated by your state, or you grow your own, so you know what's in it. I encourage you to read this. And again, NORML has long cautioned against the ingestion of these novel, unregulated products, and has also called on the FDA to act expeditiously and to provide regulations overseeing the manufacturing and marketing of these products. We've also, as I just said, suggested that consumers who are looking for these less prominent cannabinoids, like plant-derived delta-8 or CBG or CBC or THCV, that you obtain these products through state licensed dispensaries. That's the only way to ensure any measure of consumer safety is through regulation. Don't buy weird stuff from the unregulated market. It continues to pose substantial risk to consumers. Anyhow, you can read all about that on the on the NORML website, including some pretty smart comments by Dr. Michelle Peace from Virginia Commonwealth University. She is also the associate professor in the Department of Forensic Science at VCU and director of the Laboratory of Forensic Toxicology Research at VCU. So she specializes in cannabis and cannabinoid research at VCU and is all around brilliant. And yay, we had her assistance in writing this piece. So thanks, Dr. Peace. Oh, Wesley, I like your question. Wesley asks, is Virginia still on track to issue adult use licenses in 2024? No. Okay, listen, I don't probably need to be that rude, but here's what I can tell you, Wesley. We are not on track, not by a long shot. We could get back on track, and the only way to issue licenses in 2024 is for the Virginia General Assembly to pass a bill this session that authorizes issuing licenses. This governor is not going to convene a special session later this year for marijuana. I know we see it in other states. It's not happening here. He won't even provide his own caucus with direction. So yeah, the legislature would have to pass a bill this session, and then the governor would have to sign it or let it take effect without his signature. Otherwise, there's no ability to begin issuing licenses in 24, and the reason is math. So, legislative math specifically. If a bill succeeds in this session that allows licensing, the earliest it will take effect is July 1st, because that is the date that bills take effect in Virginia. The only way they take effect sooner is if they have an emergency clause, and an emergency clause requires a supermajority of approval by the General Assembly. That supermajority approval does not exist for adult use retail. So July 1st, earliest, an adult use retail licensing bill could take effect if it passed this session. Then count 6 months. It would take at least 6 months for the regulator to prepare to issue licenses, or to at least begin the licensing process. Heck, let alone issue licenses. But let's say the regulator could get everything, all the ducks in a row, and be ready to open the application process at the end of the year, then perhaps they would be able to begin issuing some licenses in 2024. Now, once we get into 2024, if we're still chewing on this same apple in 2024, then again, the earliest a bill could take effect would be July 1, 2024. And then it's not likely that you're going to have a license issued by the end of the year. So the window is a closing, my friends, for licensing to occur in 2024. All right, I gotta scroll back up because I missed a few comments here. Thank you, Ellie. That is very kind of you to say. I appreciate all of you showing up to find out what's going on. Richard, I hope that I just answered your question. I don't have a degree of confidence at this point in time. I'm hopeful that the House Republicans will do what's right. I'm hopeful that House Republicans actually do care about public safety and want to do something this year. Because listen, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you're in the Virginia General Assembly and you choose not to advance an adult use retail measure this session, you're not just saying, no, I don't like legalization. You are actively choosing to continue ceding control of cannabis in the Commonwealth to unlicensed, unregulated operators. And friends, what that means is organized crime. Your friend who grows weed and gives you some, or the guy who sells you a little because he grows some, that is not the illicit market. The fact that Virginians can grow 4 plants at home for personal use, that is not the $1.8 billion annually illicit market in Virginia. That's organized crime. So that's what your legislators are voting for. They're voting for you to go to a store that's probably already open and buy cannabis, or in a new store that's going to be open and buy cannabis, or they're saying, no, I don't want to do that. I'd like you to go buy cannabis from dangerous people. I like that in my neighborhood. Anyhow, let's scoot on down here to Fred's question. Any bills on cultivation? No, absolutely not, Fred. Hey, if you want that, you got to vote. Elections have consequences. I'll remind you all that the initial proposal was 2 mature and 2 immature plants. And the only reason we have 4 is because I said, hey, that sounds like a really bad idea. We're going to have law enforcement going around measuring plants. Why don't you just make it 4? And they were like, oh, okay. We're not going to get 12 anytime soon. That's going to take an extraordinary swing to the left. Not just a Democratic governor. You're going to need a really different makeup in the House and Senate. Anyhow. Craig, we do need to get to a point where insurance companies can cover cannabis like any other medicine. This is something we could attempt to do at the state level, but really it's going to take an act of Congress to remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act. No, Ellie, cannabis is legal in Virginia. We will always be the first in the South. No one's putting that toothpaste back in the tube, that genie back in the bottle. It is the law of the land. However, without legal retail access, the state's really failing to provide for public and consumer safety. Oh, good. I was hoping my mouse would die in the middle of this. So we'll just stand here and look at Ellie's comment for the rest of the show. You know what? We're just going to plug little Mousy in real quick and see if we can get it like, I don't know, 2 seconds of juice, and then we can not see Ellie's comment for the whole show, as much as I do adore you and your commentary, Ellie. I also cannot scroll without a mouse. This is fun. This is definitely what everyone tuned in for. I hope you're ready to tell jokes or sing songs or do something with me to pass the time here. All right, let's see if I can see around. Hey, Dwayne, I don't know what article you were reading, but gosh, I do hope you can find it and share it with us so we can all read it too, because I'd love to know about that. Oh yes, and then I can see, well, you all could probably see them yourselves. I can't until I get juice back in this mouse. Oh, yeah, Jennifer, Hanover is a place. That's a place. Hey, Dwayne, is Humble Hydroponics coming to the Virginia Cannabis Conference? Oh, Richard, I cannot wait to show your comment because gosh, are you ever right on that? Let's see if this thing will come back. No, not yet. Richard says the governor has his eye. Oh, I can mouse. This is better. Governor has his eye. Can I do that? I can't. The governor has his eye on DC, not Virginia. Yeah. And, you know, I've made it clear in a number of recent media statements, Richard, that public polling, oh, good, it is finally showing. Hey, Cassidy, thank you. Can you uncheck the things that I'm not able to uncheck at this point? The governor does, you know, clearly have his eye on national politics, not necessarily Virginia. And as I've been saying, voters on both sides of the aisle overwhelmingly favor legalization. And you'd think that this is something that someone who's so interested in politics would know, would be aware of, and would also be sophisticated enough to understand the public safety narrative. But instead, his public safety narrative consists of a fake enforcement bill, a bill that supposedly protects consumers from products that are packaged in less than honest manners, except it doesn't really do that. So not only does his purported consumer safety bill suck, oh good, I have a mouse back. He also seems to really not know a lot about cannabis policy. I am going to talk that into existence. I don't know, JT, if they're too busy fighting with each other. They're too busy fighting with everyone. Oh, hey, Wesley, thank you. I appreciate this. What would have been nice for someone to consider, hey, all you hemp people out there, where's your bill on seeds? No one wrote a bill about seeds? Okay, cool. See, the definition of marijuana in Virginia includes seeds. Now, the DEA recently issued its position, its opinion, that they consider seeds, cannabis seeds, to be hemp because seeds don't have THC in them. The seeds themselves do not have THC in them. The only way that seeds would have THC is if it were on them on the outside from the plant. But the DEA's opinion does not change state law, just like when the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018 passed, you know, the words farm bill that people like to shout, just like when that passed, Virginia still had to change its law to take advantage of that change in federal law. Same thing. We could change state law to not include seeds in the definition of marijuana, but crickets. Anyhow, Wesley, thanks for asking. Maybe write someone in the legislature and let them know they could add a simple strike through in any one of the bills, may or may not pass, that have to do with marijuana. Lou, your Mechanicsville statement, it's about Hanover needs to replace a delegate. I got it. Yeah, Ellie, you're right. We do need to keep informing our legislators. You're not wrong. I think that cannabis is an issue that a lot of members of the Virginia General Assembly just don't want to pay attention to. They want to put their heads in the sand. A lot of them, the overwhelming majority of members of the Virginia General Assembly, are attorneys. A lot of them are criminal attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, or prosecutors, or were one and became the other. And the status quo works for them. Leslie, thank you. I wonder why people get all spun up about floor plants. I really wonder. Get better at it. I don't know. I understand wanting to grow different chemovars and all that, but you know what you had before, not you personally, Wesley. Virginia, you know what you had before? Nothing. You know what you were still going to have? Nothing. You know what you were barely going to get 2. And so, good grief, we're so fortunate to have 4 at this point. And I'm not saying it can't be better at some point in time, but I am reminding you that elections have consequences. And if this is a priority issue for you, not only do you have to vote and vote better, you have to get other people to do the same. And you have to support candidates who will actually do what they say they will. Because it's one thing to get out there and be like, I support cannabis freedom, Nick Freitas, and then never vote for a bill. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, I think I could be there on legalization, Jen Kiggins, and then vote no on every bill. Okay. Hey man, how you doing? Oh, yeah, 51% is the majority. So Sue, while the overwhelming majority, supermajority of Virginians favor legalization, that doesn't translate to the General Assembly. It's not the same for our legislators. They're not real people. They're different. Oh, JT, it doesn't have a battery. I had to plug it in and charge it, but thank you. Oh, I like you so far. I like you a lot. Yeah, Jennifer, hemp seed is different than marijuana seed. Cannabis seed, whatever. I mean, we all know that. One, the seed is going to grow the plant that it's hopefully going to grow the plant it's supposed to. But simply by legal definition here in Virginia, you can have hemp seeds that are supposed to grow into hemp. But the DEA's position that all cannabis seeds are hemp did not de facto change Virginia state law, which says the definition of marijuana includes these. That makes sense? You're right, Dwayne. Fortunately, we have a pretty easy to access medical cannabis program in Virginia. If you need information about that, not you, Dwayne, I know you know. But if anyone needs information about that, you can find it on the Virginia NORML website. We've got literally everything you need to know, including how to find a practitioner and where the dispensaries are on our website. Yeah, what Jennifer says, do that. Rich, that's fascinating. You should share a picture of that with us. Wesley, how does the Commonwealth differentiate between hemp and cannabis seeds in code? That's it. If it's a hemp seed, that's a seed that's sold as a hemp seed, then it's hemp. If it's a seed that's sold as marijuana or cannabis or labeled as such, then it's marijuana. That's how. It's not some special sophisticated process. Oh, Adam. You would think, but it's, I guess, when you're that tall, the air is thin up there. It's hard to breathe. Maybe you get a little lightheaded, and so you like stick your head in the sand to like get some of the blood back down there, up there in your head. I don't know. There's a lot of putting of heads in sand on this issue in Virginia. No, Wesley, it's not a source rule. It's just the code of Virginia. It's not a source rule. All right. Goodness. New things that are happening. Cannabis is opening in Hampton. We have the new address. It's 2400 Cunningham Drive. It's in it's in an old ABC store near Peninsula Town Center. We'll put that information on our website. I don't have a date for that, but I'll reach out and see if they have the anticipated opening date for the Hampton location. I feel like there must have been more. Weren't there more newses? Weren't there more news? I forgot how to talk. It's been a very long day. I did some news. Yeah. How about this one, Cassidy? When could marijuana sales become legal in Virginia? There it is. So I talked to WTKR this week, and yeah, yes, I did. I did, in fact, talk to them. And thanks, Brendan Ponton, for giving me a call. I enjoyed talking to you. Talked about the adult use bills that at that time had been introduced, which was really just Delegate Hodges' bill and Delegate Webert's bill. But you can share that. Thanks. Hey, John. Great question. I like this question, John. John asks, overall, after the 2023 session, do you expect the situation to be better, worse, or the same as 2022? It's at least going to be the same. It's at least going to be the same. I think any amount of better we achieve is at this point, right? You're asking me today, Friday, 2 days into session. Well, I guess Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So third day of session. There's room for improvement on the medical front. Now there's room for improvement on adult use and on additional medical licensing. But those are like really heavy lifts. And we don't have enough we haven't heard enough from House Republicans to hedge any real meaningful bets. I know there's a lot of optimism, particularly from some of my colleagues who are very hopeful that these bills will succeed, but I'm not beholden to lobbying clients. I just work for NORML, so I can just call it like I see it. And right now, my gut instinct is, we're going to see some continued improvement on medical, but today there isn't a path forward for adult use. That doesn't mean it can't change during session. And I have heard some good thoughts from some members of the Republican caucus on this. But I think once you get into leadership in the House, there's a bit of a divide. And I know that the speaker is really looking for the governor to say, okay. I know that the leader, the House Majority Leader, wants to move this issue forward and to do something to move the state away from the illicit market. But I think, again, that the speaker is really the one who needs some direction, wants direction from the governor. Yeah, I really don't think that he's doing the hem and haw. I think what he's doing is just saying the governor has not given us direction. That's my read on it. Um, just like I talked about working with Senator Obenshain on advancing the early days of medical cannabis in the Senate, we worked very closely with Speaker Gilbert on getting medical through House Court's Crim Sub, and you could believe what he said. If he asked you to do XYZ in order to get something done, and you did XYZ, it was going to get done. And so I believe him when he says, what I want is direction from the governor, and clearly the governor's not really giving that. And I did talk to some journalists this afternoon after lunch. I talked to some journalists who said they were able to directly ask the governor after the State of the Commonwealth address about cannabis, and they categorized it as it was sort of a non-answer, and said that he said he was focusing on consumer safety when it came to these unregulated hemp products. And I was like, yeah, but are you really? You're not. Leader Kilgore is. Attorney General is. Governor's administration focusing on something, but it's not that. John, there is an excellent estimate of tax revenue. And hey, listen, I'm going to go grab the link to it. It's been like 100 years since we did this work group. So heck if I can remember. But in the JLARC report, probably can just look at it real quick and tell you. So there were two things that happened. In preparation for legalization. We had a work group, a marijuana legalization work group, and we had JLARC do a study on how the Commonwealth, like what the best policy proposals would be for cannabis legalization regulation in Virginia. And revenue for, okay, so here we go. A legalized commercial market could generate substantial revenue for state and local governments once the market matures. Depending on demand and the tax rate selected, the commercial market could produce $31 to $62 million during the first full year of sales, depending on the state's chosen tax rate. By the fifth year of sales, the cannabis industry could produce $154 to $308 million in tax revenue annually. So there you go. You are going to find that information by going to the Virginia NORML website, to our Legalize Virginia page. Once you're there, you are going to click on JLARC study, key considerations for marijuana legalization, and that will take you to the JLARC study, where I just gave you that information. So, yeah, John, there are really excellent estimates because we had that work done. Hey, Jim Gray, thank you for your kind words. So, Jim, I will tell you that my colleague at NORML, Jax James, does a weekly update on state policy, just all the states. So you can catch her show every week. If you miss it, you can watch it on NORML's YouTube or on NORML's Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. same place you can catch all of the Live with Virginia normals as well. But thank you very much, Jim. And hey, I don't know what state you're in, but you can always reach out. Always happy to go to your state and say words out of my face at your legislature. People are talking about plant things, and that's something. Those are words. All right, friends, this has been, as always, delightful. I've enjoyed spending this time with you. I hope we can have a quick chat next Friday. It will be from the hotel, though, as registration will then be open for the Virginia Cannabis Conference. Make sure you go ahead and register now for the Virginia Cannabis Conference. It begins on Friday of next week. That's Friday, January 20th is the welcome reception. Saturday, the 21st is the first full day of seminar and expo hall. And Saturday evening is the very first Commonwealth Green Gala. So can't wait to see everyone there dressed up in their finest greens. And Sunday is Seminar and Expo Hall Day 2. Monday is Virginia Cannabis Lobby Day. You can register for Lobby Day on the Virginia NORML website, on the conference website. It's a separate form, though, so make sure you fill that out so you can come to the Capitol with us on Monday, January 23rd. Oh, good, Richard. I'm glad you're enjoying Jax's lives. All right, friends. Hey, before you leave, make sure you do hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.